Welcome to the New York Outlook for Thursday, the 29th of February 2024. Starting off with the economic calendar, what we do know is that there's some red folder news events 30 minutes into the New York session, and this will ultimately dictate which direction we trade in and whether there's reasons to trade one direction or the other. Having said that, if you recall from my London outlook, there was reasons to trade both directions, and essentially, negative USD news can mean we can long GBP USD, or positive USD news can mean we can short use GBP USD. Obviously, if it's mixed, then we'll follow the latest news release. Well, rather, obviously, if it's mixed, then we'll follow what the price action has been telling us based on what New York has validated as the high or low of the day, or otherwise. So let's jump into the charts and we can make more sense of what I just said. So again, from a 4H perspective, nothing much has changed. We're still in this 4H bearish structure. The pullback phase remains validated and the pullback phase OB remains intact. However, what we can see is that in the London session we pushed up slightly, but then ultimately we're pushing down quite aggressively right now, and I guess that is in line with the anticipated pro trend move. In terms of trades that I took this morning, I did get into one long entry, which around about 30 minutes into the London lull was actually took me out for a loss, and we can go into the detail just now, but essentially let's start from the beginning. So we know that yesterday we reacted to the pullback phase OB, creating this leg right here. We knew that we have sufficient IRL to the upside, and we also have a day old Asia high liquidity that was not yet liquidated, enabling us to be slightly more aggressive in holding on to longs, knowing that at a minimum at least this should be liquidated. However, what we can then see is we actually we actually didn't sorry we actually didn't go ahead and grab this liquidity. We either leaving it for later or it's not going to be swept. We'll see by the day 3. If it's not swept, then it means that it's probably part of a new pro trend leg that will be swept sometime later and not with the immediate price action. However, having said all of that, the idea behind the trade was the fact that Frankfurt low of the day was created and then validated by the London session right here. And once we got evidence of that validation, then we were looking to get into longs. Ideally, what I would have liked is to be in earlier, and that would have been because we have this current day liquidity, which would have allowed us to actually get a break-even trade. And whilst in this leg we may have been somewhat disappointed to not be part of it, as you can see, ultimately this trade didn't play out. So overall, I followed my trading plan, and it's a loss that certainly does make sense. For now, I'm just going to hide this so it doesn't over override our analysis. But the other thing before I hide this is I just want to say is what you can see is that equal highs were created here. So there was, or there has been, lots of liquidity engineered to suggest that we would actually move to the upside. Perhaps not immediately, but maybe sometime later today. We'll just have to see. Having said all of that, as we know, the break-even point wasn't actually triggered because instead of this high being wicked, it was equal highs, and per my break-even protocol, I need a wick of the level in order to break even. So again, happy with this break even, and now moving on to the New York session. What is the objective here? Again, we still have reasons to trade both directions, both longs and shorts, neither of which are overbearing over the other, and that simply is due to the fact that we are somewhat in a bit of a range because the Proton Extreme Reaction leg created this large leg, and since then it's been almost a week, I think, or yeah, today's Thursday, and I think this was created on Thursday last week. So it's been almost a week. We've been stuck in this leg range right here, and then as you know, yesterday we reacted to this pullback phase OB, validating and supporting longs, at least with the objective of targeting this the substructure high before we push deeper into the pro trend extreme. Either way, there's a room for both directions. So in terms of the New York session, what we do know is that um, we actually have both a London high of the day and a low of the day to be validated. So that would be your London high of the day and to be validated, and again for your London low of the day right here, again to be validated. Of course, how do we validate the London high of the day? New York needs to break the London low of the day. So in terms of the range, it would look something like this. So in order to validate that this high of the day is likely to hold, we know that it's possible for New York to just wick this level, and then we know that this is the underlying leg we should be trading on. Obviously, then the alternative case is that if New York puts in a low of the day, and then we've got negative USD news release to support why a New York low of the day should hold. That New York leg supports longs, but at the same time we've got support for shorts, and thus we'll need conclusive news events to the upside to suggest why this high of the day is indeed targeted. So there's a couple of factors to take into account here, and I just want to go through these scenarios with you. So scenario one is the London high of the day remains intact, New York comes down, and the New York news is either mixed or it's positive, in which case there's room to suggest that we should only short, and then we'll anchor our fib something like this and try and get in around the 50 or 38% level. And then alternatively, if New York validates the high of the day but simultaneously validates that the New York low of the day is holding, and that would be because the New York news is negative, supporting GU longs, and then obviously we'll wait for that indication of order flow shift, and then we'd anchor our fib something like this, and that would essentially be the leg to then create the new high of the day. The other scenario is that the London low of the day actually doesn't get taken out by New York. So let me just clear up some drawings quickly, and then we can go from there. So the London low of the day remains intact, and then we get New York news. So what we need is obviously the chalk right here. Then we've got evidence of a new leg, at least a leg for the purposes of the current day, and then obviously conclusively negative USD news to support why this London low of the day, or lull low of the day, if we name it more appropriately, it should hold, and then we can target this equal highs in the day one liquidity. So I guess the summary is we can trade both directions. There's a couple of methods to navigate how to enter for both directions, and yeah, I guess that's pretty much the New York outlook. I hope you have a good session, and set your alarms for 3:30 to monitor this news release. Other than that, we'll chat again for the end of day review.